Actually, I haven't done this in a while, so this is very special episode.
Thank you for having me.
Ok. So, salutări tuturor! Avem un episod special și un invitat special și un prieten bun de-al lui domnul Cristi Berciu.
Salutare!
Știu că nu i-am mai văzut de mult, a fost o pauză mai lungă, dar iată-ne din nou aici. Și de data asta am onoarea să vorbesc cu domnul Vincent sau Vinny Galanti, IFBB Pro. Did I say that right? Are you Galanti or Galante, Vinny?
Either one.
Either one.
But
both are okay. And let me tell you, like the internet says about you that you are the bodybuilder who is the definition of perseverance and consistent success in both amateur and professional competitions.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice.
And also it says that you have a career that spans over 40 years old.
I do.
41.
Yeah, my first bodybuilding contest was 1984 when I was 16 years old. That's when I first started.
And the internet also told me your father helped you get started in the...
Yeah. You know, he was he would always make healthy food and teach me about nutrition or at an early age. And he brought home some weights and I started working out in the garage like a lot of young guys have done, you know, and it started from there.
Okay. And then...
Just like we did, you know.
Yeah, okay. And
garage,
did the same.
basements or stuff like that.
Yep.
So this was when you were 16 years old or earlier, Vinny?
I think I started lifting weights around 14. in the basement of my house, and my next door neighbor was the uncle of a guy who owned a gym one town over from me, and I had to lie and tell them that I was 18 years old to join the gym. You know, You know, back then, 1984, 83, 84 was a lot different. The guys worked out, not all gyms, but this gym and a lot of other gyms. Men would work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and women would work out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then on Saturdays was co-ed. So men and women could work out on Saturday, and the gyms were closed on Sunday. It's kind of weird back then, the way they set it up.
Why was that?
I think it had to do something with like the way they trained back then. Like people trained like a push-pull legs kind of routine. And that's just what they did. Not all the gyms did that, but this particular gym did that. And that's that, you know, I don't know. I was 16 years old. I just did what that was normal back then for me. Like, you know.
And you were saying in a podcast that you were doing karate. You were practicing.
Yeah, first I got into karate and lifting weights, but I didn't go to the gym yet. And when I walked out of the karate studio, the dojo, all this time I didn't even realize that there was a gym across the street. And I walked across the street with my friend Dino, and we walked in, and I never went back to karate. That was the last day I went to karate, because you know, you guys understand. You walk in, you smell the weights, the iron, and the rubber floors, and guys are training, and like it just bit me. I just loved it right from the second I walked in. I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't know how or what I'm going to do with it, but this is what I want to do.
Was that gym anything like Diamond Gym, the gym you sometimes train now? Like... Yeah,
very, very similar. Very similar. Diamond Gym hasn't changed only because, well, it's been around since the 80s, 1983, I think. And not much has changed in there. Like the same paneling walls and dingy atmosphere and just guys training really hard. And, you know, people don't go in there using their cell phone, sitting on a bench. They get kicked out.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Even to this day,
today.
This is, it still applies.
at Diamond Gym, if you're sitting on a bench, not doing anything, and just looking at your phone, you're asked nicely to put your phone away, and you're reminded of where you are. And if you do it again, you're asked nicely to leave the gym. After that, you're not asked nicely anymore. You're told to get the fuck out.
If we would do this at the Revo gym, we would have no clients. Everybody would be out of the gym.
Well, the gym I work in, it's like that. Everyone's on their cell phones. Nobody's serious. Nobody trains. Everybody just exercises and waste time. You know how it is. Diamond Gym is a rare gym.
Okay. Let me see if I can make this better somehow. I wanted to put you like in focus in first frame, but I can't seem to manage how to do that. All right, so let me ask you, what's the name of the gym you're training clients now, or do you own the gym, or just a trainer there? Or...
No, I'm just a trainer. I work at a powerhouse in New Jersey.
Okay, but you kept mentioning a gym. I think I heard you say about Strong and Shapely.
Oh, Strong and Shapely, yeah. I go there also. That gym's been a long time. That's a very old school, hardcore gym, but it's not the way, the times have changed, and the owner wants to, appease to everyone. So it's not as hardcore as it used to be. But there's elements like Akeem trains there. He trains there at 3 o'clock every day.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us something about your career. Like, I don't know, there's a whole list of competitions you've won. And
yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've won 4 national titles in the NPC and 11 Masters Pro. I have 11 Masters Pro wins now in the IFBB. And today, I'm 16 weeks out from the Masters Olympia, which is going to be in Japan. I competed in the 90s on the national level, and it was very difficult to earn a pro card back then. It was very different bodybuilding back then. Here in the States, you only, I think in the Nationals, the USA, and the North America, it was only like 3 pro cards per show. You had maybe, I think, in total, I think the Masters Nationals or the Masters North American, you might in total have 15 pros that 15 people that turn pro in 1 year, and now we have hundreds of people turning pro. It's a completely different sport. It's completely different.
So I heard you were saying that it cost, you tried 30 times to get your card or something like that.
No, well, I competed. It took me 16 years to turn pro. Yeah, so I competed I did the Junior USA, and I won my class in 1992, and then in 1993, I won my class in the USA alongside Chris Cormier when he won the overall. I won the middleweight class, and then from 94 to 2005, I placed anywhere between 2nd and 6th place at the Nationals, which is the most difficult national show we have here in the States. And then I just took a break and came back in 2008. I thought I was never going to compete again. I just thought I was done, and I have no more energy. It's, how it takes a lot of energy, a lot of discipline to compete on that level year after year. And I just needed to walk away from the sport for a little while. And I got the bug again. 2008, I went to the Masters Nationals, and I won the light heavyweight and the overall, and I earned my pro card. And I only did maybe like a couple of pro shows, but I was not really good when I turned pro. I was really burnt out. I gave everything I had in 2008. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. Even though I turned pro, it was what I was going after. I was now 41 years old, and I was just tired, and I just walked away from the sport for a few years. And I came back in 2018, and now I got 11 pro wins. And this year will probably be my last year competing. I just turned 58 the other day. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, happy birthday. I saw the stories with the cake and the friends and that long table of people.
Thank you. Yeah.
Happy birthday. Vinny, do you know how many contests did you did overall? Not pro and amateur.
Hundreds. I can't even, I never counted them. I would say probably about 100 shows I've done my whole life.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question nobody thought about asking you. What are you doing? Where are you keeping all the trophies? And
Right behind. So I got all my stuff on the walls. That's the last trophy. The puppy.
So you made a house out of those. You
built
a house.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, trophies are up there on the shelf.
Did it ever occur to you to keep some of the trophies at the gym to inspire other people, or you have some pictures of you in the gym and
No, because I can't tell you how many times I hear people saying they leave their trophy at the gym and then somebody steals it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to go to jail. I would get pretty pissed off. No, I don't leave. No. And oddly enough, I don't have. It's very rare you'll see my picture on a wall. I'm not like that. I'm not. I was shocked when Christy pulled out the poster he saved of me. We went to the gym and we were training when I was in Romania, and he that really touched me because I look at it like, I put my pants on the same way you guys do every day, one leg at a time. And I think I surprised Christy too a little bit about how I'm going to use this word, but it's going to sound like I'm being condescending to myself, I guess. How humble I was in the sense of I didn't look at myself as what I've accomplished. So people tell me that all
Vinny, let me tell you something. Like, I told you I had your poster on the wall. I don't know if you believed me, but I saw your reaction when I showed you the poster. You were like shocked,
Yeah.
For all the guys you don't know, I had a poster with Vinny in the basement where I trained. And just imagine, like, you start training at 17 years old, and 22, 23 years later, you're going to the gym with the same guy.
Yeah.
For me, it was like an amazing experience. Amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think what happens is, like, for me, like, I never made it to the Mr. Olympia. So I find like that's the pinnacle, right? And like, I don't think anybody knows me or anybody even wants to like mimic me or do, read about me or anything. Because I always think of like, people only want to hear about the guys who went to the Olympia because they talk about, the legends in the sport. And
not all the time, Vinny. Not all the time.
But that's what I think.
Yeah. I heard you say once, I heard you talking about the difference between being an athlete with universal nutrition and being an athlete with animal, and how somehow you were more fitted for this like classic look, the more not that big look the other athletes had.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, what was the name of the bodybuilder that grabbed you by the hand and looked at your what's it called, your wrist, and he told you right there that you're good for this category or that category? Well,
okay. So, I was with my father. We were in New York City, and I don't remember why we were there, but we went to a gym, and I can't think of the name off the top of my head right now, but I wasn't developed yet. I was still a kid, and I told him that I love bodybuilding, and he looked at me and he grabbed my wrist and he put his fingers around my wrist and he said, "You're going to be a light heavyweight. You'll never weigh more than 200 pounds." And I was like, how does this guy know that, you know? His name will come back to me, but he was a famous bodybuilder in New York City. I'm not sure if he was a professional. I can't remember off the top of my head though. But yeah, he said to me that I'll be a light heavyweight, and he was right. I've never competed over 200 pounds. I'm always around 195, 197.
Yeah, well, you have a powerlifting background. Is it not true? Like, is that true?
No, it's partially true. I consider myself a bodybuilder, and I tried powerlifting. I'm not a powerlifter. I just did it once. Between that time frame when I didn't compete in bodybuilding, I tried powerlifting, and I enjoyed it because it brought me back to like the old days of the 80s for me, where, you know, the camaraderie and the guys just really enjoying being around each other and training. Not like, you know, bodybuilding can be sometimes, you know, if I'm going to be real here, sometimes people are too full of themselves and they act like their shit don't stink, is what we say here in the United States. and they act like all arrogant. But in powerlifting, that's not the case. I think powerlifters are they're humble. Because if you can't pick the weight up, you can't pick the weight up. If you can pick the weight up, that's pretty impressive. Because you look a certain way, you shouldn't act like you're a jerk. You know, some bodybuilders are just assholes. So, but the powerlifting community brought me back to the roots of like real hardcore training. Not all bodybuilders are assholes. I don't want to say that, but do you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, of course. Like here, almost every bodybuilder hates the other bodybuilders. They hate each other.
It's everywhere. Yeah, everybody's that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just a cultural thing; it's more like a sport thing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very, very funny. So yeah.
No, I was going to say about Universal and Animal. I was with Universal for 18 years. And before there was such a thing as like splitting it in half, Animal and Universal.
Yeah.
I was doing photo shoots with them, with Brian Moss, a famous photographer. And all for Animal. And I got on 2 of their posters. And when it came out to production, they told me, "We're going to keep you with Universal. You're not going to be part of Animal." And I was so disappointed and so bummed out about that because they threw away all the posters of me in the garbage. I got one over there on the wall, but it never made it to a gym or never made it to publication. When I went to Universal one day, they had all the posters, and I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome. Can I grab one?" They're like, "No, this is garbage." I'm like, "That's me." So I grabbed a bunch of them. I took them home. And, you know, the guy doesn't work there anymore, but his name was Phil. And Phil just treated me like shit all the time. He never had any respect for me. And he didn't have a lot of respect for a lot of the bodybuilders. He was a very arrogant guy. And I was surprised.
Why was that?
I think he was an intelligent guy who looked down and thought, I think bodybuilders were just stupid. But then at the same time, the ones that he needed, he respected. So he lost my respect. I didn't have a good experience with him personally, and I think that he didn't like me for some reason, and he put me to Universal, which was fine. And I had to lie a lot to the people in the publication department. And tell different people that I never got on a magazine cover of theirs. And I got on a lot of covers just by lying.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that surprised me about you, from what I heard you talking, is like the your whole spirit of being like a small entrepreneur, like you knew from the start you had a business to run, and this bodybuilding you were doing was also like you were trying more than others to hustle your way into photo shoots, and
Yep. Always. So
that was
from the very
yeah.
beginning, my father was a businessman, and he taught me bodybuilding as a sport, as what you enjoy doing, training for a contest. That's one thing, but to move forward and try to make money in this sport, you got to figure out the little cracks that you can get into and make money. I've never said this on a podcast before, and I'm going to say this here. I knew from a very early age, I knew I did not have what it takes to compete in the Mr. Olympia. I knew that. Like, if you look at my physique, if you say, oh, if you turned professional in the early 90s, you would have done well. No, I wouldn't have. I could never have beaten a guy like Lee Labrada or a Lee Priest or any of those guys. Those guys were superior. I was a very, very good amateur / decent pro. And I know that. But at the same time, I found a lot of avenues that I can promote different companies. And I got on magazine covers. I traveled around the world. I did a lot of articles, for Muscle and Fitness, Flex Magazine, Ironman Magazine. I guest posed a lot. I was a professional while I was an amateur, making a living. I made really good money all those years. And what's funny now is that now I'm going to the Masters Olympia and I do not have a sponsor. I'm paying for this out of my pocket as a professional. But as an amateur, I made money, and now I don't make any money.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But I think today this is what is lacking. A lot of bodybuilders can't seem to understand this part of the.
Oh yeah, I said that. I look at, like, if I were 25 years old today, I'd be crushing it on social media. But nobody really wants. I do my thing for the masters bodybuilders and the old school guys who love old school. They enjoy what I put out there as far as the content that I put. But I look at these young guys today who have phenomenal physiques, who really don't focus on the competing end. They could do very well on stage, and a lot of them do. Look at what's his name, Sam Sulek.
Yeah,
you know that, right? He's doing a phenomenal job at utilizing social media and competing. He's got a great physique. Do I think he's like the coming of Jesus in bodybuilding? No, I don't think he's that kind of guy. But I think he's capitalizing on what he's doing, and I think, I applaud a guy like Sam. But I don't know. I would be doing it a little differently. I'd be out there contacting promoters. If there's anybody listening to me and you're up and coming, do what I say. It's really simple. Contact promoters. Once you start getting a following on Instagram, so any platform on social media, give away your product for free. That's what I was taught a long time ago. Give your product for free to your product is your physique. Go pose, go do photo shoots, whatever you can. And when you start getting a name for yourself, then you put the brakes on and start charging people. You got to get out there a little bit. Because what I did when I was coming up, when I won the Junior USA in 1992, obviously nobody knew me, but I was in California. I was in Culver City, California for the Junior USA. And I trained over at the Gold's Gym in Venice. I met one photographer. His name was Jason Mathis. And it was the night before I was leaving to go home. And he walked into the Gold's Gym. And he came over to me and he said, "Congratulations on your win. Can we do a photo shoot tomorrow?" I said, "I'm leaving tomorrow morning. We're getting on a flight. We're just coming in here for a workout." But I said, "Wait a minute, hold on. How about we just start doing pictures right now?" He goes, "Oh, but you're done. You're done with your workout." I said, "I'll do another workout. I don't care. I felt like it was my opportunity to get into a magazine. Why would I turn that down? You know. So fast forward to 1993. I took the pictures that I did with Jason, and I was sending them to all the magazines. I was flooding their desk. I would write letters to them and tell them I'm doing the USA. Not one person responded to me. Nobody answered my letter. Nobody.
Wow.
Right? But no, you don't get discouraged. You just keep going. So I just kept writing letters every like 3 or 4 months until we got to the USA. Fortunately, I win my class. And when we were done and I met all the photographers, I remember one of them said, "Oh man, you're the pain in the ass that's been sending me letters for the last year." Right? Yeah, I'm the pain in the ass. But they knew my work ethic, and they knew that me doing a photo shoot with them, it's going to be all professional. So every time I did the nationals after that, I would call probably 10 to 12 photographers, let them know after the contest I was flying to California. I'd pay it on my own. It was my own investment in me, in my business. Do the photo shoots. And for the rest of the year, I was in all the magazines. And I remember the guys in my gym were all like annoyed because they'd be like, how are you getting in all these magazines? And I would tell them, here's my secret. I go pay my way to go to California to do a photo shoot. You could do the same thing. And nobody would do it. Nobody had that work ethic behind them, you know? So then eventually the traction started to build where I started getting paid for it. So after about a year of doing that, then I started getting paid and traveling around the country and doing guest posings.
Yeah, you know, today with social media, it's even harder because messages go into the DM box.
Yep.
And it's even harder to reach out, you know, like some people don't even open the messages, you know.
Oh, I'm not going to mention his name, but there's one guy who's famous in our sport here. He's here in the United States, and we know each other, personally know each other. And I've been DMing him to get on his podcast, and I can't even get through to the guy. So I understand. But you know, it's the way it is. It's different today.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Because you mentioned this before in another podcast.
Vinny, just imagine my reaction when you responded me when I first wrote you last year. Because I wasn't expecting that.
What, for me to answer you?
Yeah.
No.
So,
no,
you know, like first time that I wrote you.
Yeah, I remember.
So you guys are not friends. You guys are not friends for years.
No.
No.
When
I said to him, I said, when Christy and I met, we were. I hope Christy felt the same way, but I felt like we were brothers we've never met before. Like we were lost, and we found each other.
We had the same jokes, you know. After 2 or 3 days, we realized we had the same jokes, but like we were talking about the same, you know.
Well, Christy would say something, and I would look at him like I understood what he was talking about when he didn't have to say much. We were laughing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So when I saw you at the gym, Vinny, with Christy training, that was something that happened just then. It wasn't that wasn't a reoccurrence.
No, that was my first time in Romania.
Ah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because it all seemed so like natural, like, hey, it's just me and my friend, and.
But isn't it? But that's the way it should be. That's the era that I grew up in. Okay, so that just goes to show you, like, I grew up in an era that, like I said, I put my pants on the same way you do every day, one leg at a time. Right? I'm no better than you. I might have more titles than you, but that doesn't make me better than you. I remember 1990. Oh, I think it was 1993. And do you remember the name Porter Cottrell?
No.
Porter Cottrell won the 1993
Yeah,
Night of the Champions, and he was
I know,
top,
I know.
Yeah, in the 90s, he was a top 10 guy in the Olympia, and he
You
won.
know him, Tabi. Definitely, you know him.
Yeah.
But you don't remember him now, but you know him.
Okay.
So Porter Cottrell was sitting outside the competition. It was all done, and he took the time to talk to me and my friends. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, this is a professional. He just won the Night of the Champions, and he's taking his time to talk to us. So I always said, like, if I ever turn pro, or I'm in a situation where I'm like a pro, I want to treat people with respect and humility. Be humble.
That's what you did, Vinny. That's
Thank
what
you.
you did.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, humble is not
Yeah.
the basic what should I say trait for bodybuilders, especially in this country. Because here, I don't know how familiar you are with bodybuilding in Romania, but Vinny, let me tell you, here bodybuilders are like, most of them are, they think they're the greatest if they have one show or two shows
Yeah,
won, not even.
that's just like
Huh?
here in New Jersey. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's the same way. You know, I was telling Chris
So
a
yeah.
story. He reminded me of the story when we were talking earlier, of my first encounter with a fan, if you will. And I was in the mall, and this kid comes up to me, and he grabs my arm, and he goes, "Oh, you're Vinny Galanti. I saw you in a magazine." And I pulled my arm away from him, and I'm like, "Get the hell away from me!" And I made this kid upset, and I was upset with myself that I did that, and I was like, "Oh man, I can't believe, you know, I did that to somebody." And I went around looking for him that night in the mall, like walking around, and I couldn't find him. And I did that one time, and that was the last time I treated anybody that way. And I saw the look in his eyes, like I made him feel horrible, and I never want to do that again. So and I never did it again. It was just I was completely thrown off. It was my first time any stranger ever came up to me and recognized me. And you know, I was wrong that night.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, you're a decent person, and a lot of things you've been talking about.
Vinny, tell the whole story. Tell the whole story.
Okay.
I thought I did. What am I missing?
No. Did you met the kid?
Years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. You tell the story.
No, you tell it. It's your story.
Later,
you tell it.
I don't remember the story altogether good, but years later, we met up and I apologized to him, and you know, I felt like I owed this guy an apology, and he was cool. It was all good.
Okay. So the kid didn't grow up and became a bodybuilder and like came to show you like, look, I'm better than you or something.
No, I think I completely discouraged him.
Because I thought one of those stories like revenge. Look at me now.
No.
Really, let me ask you, what do you think about your Romanian experience, Masters Olympia in Romania overall?
So
what did you learn, like good things, bad things?
Yeah.
What did you like about the show? What did you didn't like about the show?
I'll tell you from the beginning. First off, I was really surprised that I didn't have any jet lag when I landed, and I had good energy going into the week. However, when I started to, like, you saw me, I was in really good shape.
Yeah.
I think the first beginning of the contest, the week of the contest. And the big mistake that I made was I can't beat these guys because they're bigger than me. So I want to come in more dialed and more shredded. And I went into the contest. What's that? I didn't hear you.
No, I was like, okay.
Okay. So I started to lower my carbohydrates a little bit too much going into the contest, thinking I would become more ripped and that's how I could place better. But it only backfired on me, and I should have been eating a lot more food going into the contest. And a couple of guys in the bodybuilding division backed out. So I asked the promoter if I could do my posing routine, and they were like, "No, you can't because you didn't make the top 10." I said, "Yeah, but it's just me and one other guy. It's just two more people. I came all the way from the United States. Can I do my posing routine?" And they wouldn't allow us. That was the one negative I took away from the contest itself. But for me personally, going into the contest, I was ready until I started to overthink, and I shouldn't have done that. And I just should have started to eat more food. I went backwards. I got too flat. And if you see the pictures, I did not look good at all. If you see the pictures of what I looked like in the gym with Christy,
yeah,
I was big and full and hard, and I looked like a different person come Saturday. It was actually embarrassing for me too. I look at the pictures and I'm disgusted with myself.
You panicked, right?
What's that?
You panicked in the last couple of days before the show, right?
Yes, absolutely. I panicked, and I tried to stay calm, but my nerves kicked in too much, and I was getting stressed, and I think it ate my muscle up.
Most definitely. You were like, I think you were like too. You wanted to present such a good shape in that, and you panicked, and you lost your way. You know.
Oh, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I won't disagree with that. It was my one opportunity, which I thought I'd never get to go to another Masters Olympia again. But now here I am. Last year I won the Hurricane Pro to qualify for this year's contest, which took a lot of stress off, because if I had to apply and wait for the invitation, that would have been stressful, But now I didn't have to wait for that. I'm training.
Yeah, that would have sucked. And just like you said, last year you were like invited. This year you're going.
Yep, 100%. I'm going. And I'm realistic. I know what I'm up against. I know, David Henry is going to be in the contest. Hide. These guys are awesome. I mean, they're great competitors. I'm training like I'm going to win this contest. I'm not leaving any stone unturned. I train, in the off season, I allotted myself only 1 hour of time to train. And 1 hour, I was out the door. I was gone. But now that it's starting to become contest time, I rearranged my work schedule, my life schedule for the next 16 weeks, where if it's going to take me 2 hours to do legs, it's taking me 2 hours. I can't skip on warming up. I can't skip out on abs. I can't skip out on cardio. I'm dedicating, all my time to this contest, because I think this is going to be my last year competing. So I want to at least give it 100%, 110%.
What's your approach on training? Low volume, high volume. What's your approach?
I believe in all types of training work, but they only work for a certain period of time. I think a lot of people, let's say a guy starts training high volume and he gets big and he gets a good response from it. He believes that's the way you should train, and that's the only way you train. And he'll tell all his friends, high volume, high volume. But the reality of it is, now he gets to the point where he gets stuck and he's in a plateau and he doesn't know what to do. Well, it's really simple. Go train a different way. Maybe take a week off from the gym, come back and train completely different. Maybe train German volume training, 10 sets of 10, or maybe do something where you're doing heavier weight with 5 or 8 reps for 3 sets and go home. People, I think bodybuilders are too married to what they think works for them, and they're not open-minded to the fact that every type of training works and eventually it doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, everything works for a while. Everything works for a while.
Like right now,
It's
my training approach right now is from last October after the contest, all in November, December, January, February was 5 to 8 reps. That's all I did was 5 to 8 reps. And then I'm 16 weeks out now, so maybe 10 weeks ago, I started to implement one set, and it was at the very end of high reps, 15 to 20 reps. And as the weeks went on, I had a couple of more sets like that, and a couple of more sets, drop sets, supersets. And I transitioned into doing more volume, if you will, where I'm doing no less than 12, no more than 20 reps. And I'm having a good response to that. Now I'm going to go back to cutting the reps back down and trying to train a little bit heavier for at least about maybe like until 10 weeks out. And then I'll see what my progress is. And whatever I start at 10 weeks out, I'm taking that right into the contest. I don't know what yet.
I asked you about the training because here in Romania, it's some sort of way about low volume. You know, people don't just low volume, like 2-3 sets per exercise, and that's it. I'm not necessarily. It works, but
it eventually is not going to work. You have to. I believe in what Dorian Yates says, where you should train the same exercises all the time. I believe in that, but I also believe in, for our own heads, we need a couple of weeks of doing completely different things. We need to go in and do exercises that we don't normally do. If they're low volume or high intensity, we need to do something different because we get complacent. I mean, you see how many people talk and bullshit in the gym. If you were motivated to get into the gym and start fucking training really hard because you're so excited about a new program you're doing, that's awesome. But if you're bored out of your mind, that's why you see half these guys don't train hard, because they're bored. I mean, it's the same shit all the time, over and over again. So I think you got to have an open mind to like do something different, at least around 8 weeks, and then change it. That's my opinion.
Or I don't know, about 3 months. Do 3 months, one program. After 3 months, change it, and so on.
That's fine too. But what you're saying is have a plan. And most people don't have a plan. If your plan is 8 weeks or your plan is 12 weeks, that's awesome. But stick to your plan. Because a lot of guys don't realize, like, the program is working. One part of it, because you're getting a pump, but you're not responding anymore. It's not doing anything. It's not really, you're not progressing in it. And maybe like you get a good feeling from the workout, but nothing's happening anymore. And you get married to the idea of, I have to stay with this because it's my security blanket. And I think having a plan to say from the beginning of the program, I'm going to give this 8 weeks, I'm going to give this 12 weeks. And then after that, no matter where I'm at, I'm going to change it regardless.
What do you think has changed in terms of training compared, I don't know, now to 30 years ago?
Nothing's changed. You see, that's what, like, when I was a kid listening to bodybuilders from the 70s, it's the same conversation today that I heard when I was a 16-year-old. Everybody has their way of training. There's nothing, we can't reinvent the wheel. We can't, you pick weights up and you put them down. That's really it. There's no, all of these terms that you hear, because bodybuilders need to sound smart, okay, I respect that. You want to sound smart. These coaches have to use certain terms, and they have to sell their ideas to people. Bullshit. Just go fucking train. That's it. There's nothing. You can't reinvent weightlifting. Everything that's ever been written is already written. Anything that's invented has been invented. I don't think like I could be wrong, but I've tried it all, and I've done stuff that I can't. Oh my god, I forgot what they're doing today is what I did 30 years ago. I remember like a couple of years ago, the push-pull legs became very popular.
Yeah.
I did that in the 90s. It's like the same shit. Nothing's new.
Yeah, everything gets recycled. Everything gets recycled after a while.
It's like the mullet. The mullet was big when I was a teenager. Now it's coming back.
Yeah, it's back.
It's back.
Guess what?
You have a mullet?
No, I don't. I don't even have hair.
I'm almost mine.
I wanted to ask you, you trained with Dorian at some point. I think I saw some videos of you. And what did you take away from that? In which way did it open your eyes on things?
Dorian is a thinker. He's a smart guy, and he's exactly what I'm saying. Have a plan. Dorian always had a plan, and I think like I gravitated towards his style of training because it wasn't like do this because I said so kind of thing. Do this, try this because I did a lot of studying, and I gravitate towards. I just gravitate towards the gruntness of good hardcore training, whether it's high volume or low volume. And Dorian, was in the area, and I knew somebody that knew him, and we linked up, and he put me through a back workout, and he taught me what his version of warm-up sets were, and then that one all-out set. Because if you look at that on the outside looking in, like if you saw us training, you would think I was doing 5 sets. But Dorian was like, you're doing 1 set. The first 4 were, as guys call it today, feeder sets, right? I don't know if they say that in Romania, but they say it here in the States. They call it feeder sets. It's like warm-up sets. I think like the warm-up sets are you're pulled back a little bit, and then the last set you go balls out. And in Dorian's thought process, that's all you need is 1 set, and he learned that from Mike Menser.
Yeah. There's also like Christy said, there's this misconception people use here, like they want to do low volume and they want to mimic the training that Dorian or Menser had, but they don't take in consideration the stuff that those guys were able to contract. They don't understand that there were feeder sets before that one big set. Mm-hmm. And also not everybody can do that. Like not everybody can train like that. Like there's you have to have a mentality for it.
You have to have a mentality for it, and you can't do it consistently. Like not consistently. You can't do it over a long period of time. I mean, even Dorian Yates tore his bicep and tricep. So and he told me that he wished, looking back, he had changed his training prior to the injury. He didn't think he was going to get hurt, but he did, and it was a career-ending injury. Mm-hmm. We probably could have won a couple more Mr. Olympia titles. Mm-hmm. I just think like if you're going to try to train as heavy as you can in the 6 to 8 rep range, you can't do multiple sets like that over and over again. You got to do a couple of feeder sets and then a balls out set, or if you will, that's what I say, a set to failure. But you have to do it over just a few weeks and then change it, because you got to take into consideration your immune system and recovery, and play off of that too.
Mm-hmm.
And we are getting at the subject with longevity. Just like say you like competing for like 42 years.
Yep.
In my opinion, or I think that it's better to have a long career, than a short career with uh, better results, or I don't know how to say it, but I think, in my opinion, it's better to have longevity.
Well, hopefully this longevity will pay off at the Masters Olympia, and I can crack the top 10.
It will. It
Get
will.
closer. I think like I remember,
And also, sorry if I interrupt. It's also because of health issues.
yeah, you and I had talked about steroid use, and
Yeah,
you were surprised too at how little
I was.
right. I think like so, and that goes what we're talking about, like the training, the longevity, the training, the steroid use. I love training. I love competing. And I never thought, like, going back thinking I'm never going to be Mr. Olympia. And I knew what I was capable of getting to. I knew what I was capable of accomplishing. And I was taught in the 80s and early 90s to come off. Like today, I think I don't know if you guys are experiencing this in Europe, in Romania, where
Bridging and cruising.
Oh my God. And that's so fucking stupid. It's just, it's an accident waiting to happen for some people. And people, young guys who haven't been training for 15, 20 years, and they're just getting into the gym today, they're hearing these influencers talking about bridging and cruising, and the term TRT.
Enhanced TRT.
What's enhanced TRT?
Enhanced TRT. There's like
what
TRT, like you take something that would be TRT, like let's say 200 milligrams of test, but then you add a little tren or a little something on top of it.
So I'm having a conversation with a guy in the gym, and he's 22 years old, and he tells me he's not on anything. He's just on TRT. Yeah. And I said, let me ask you a question. So you take half a cc twice a week from a bottle of Cypionate? He said, yes. I said, okay. So now if you take 2 cc's out twice a week from the same bottle of Cypionate, what does that mean? He goes, oh, now you're on a cycle. I go, idiot, you're an idiot. Once you take 1 cc, you're shutting your natural production down.
Yep.
And nobody taught him that. And it took him a little while to understand what I was saying. And these guys just want an easy way out. They want to stay on a cycle. They don't want to come off. When I say I'm coming off, I'm off. There's no post-cycle therapy, whatever, PCT. There's none of that shit. I literally come off of everything for at least 10 weeks. Do I feel like shit at week 8 and 9? Yeah. But you know what? That's only mental. But internally, that's why I've been around for 42 years.
So you don't do PCT after a cycle?
I never have.
Wow.
I never have. I haven't. I need to be on TRT. Okay. So doing a cycle, if I go down to TRT, I need to be on it. But if I'm training for a contest, I just come right off after a show for 10 weeks, and then I go back on to TRT, and in a couple of weeks I'm fine again. It's only mental, and I know, I know it's not healthy mentally to do it, but it's healthy internally to do it. And I get my blood work done. I'm always fine, and there's nothing wrong with me. It's just you're fucked up in the head for like a couple of weeks. And most people will say, "Oh, I don't want to go and experience that." And say my approach is completely wrong. But I don't want to stay on steroids all year long. That's just the way I've always been. I don't believe in it. I think it's unhealthy, and I think it's foolish. So
here back in the days, here I don't know in the States, but here back in the days was like if you're like on 3 months, stay off 3 months.
Yep, that's exactly how it was.
You know?
If you did an 8-week cycle, stay off 8 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
If you
How
did an
long are
8-week
you
cycle,
on?
I mean, a lot of times too, back in the 90s, guys only did 2 cycles a year. They would do a contest cycle, come off, do an off-season cycle, come off, and then do the cycle for a show.
Yeah.
Now in Romania, we invented another meaning of the term off season.
What's that?
Here in Romania, off season now, it's not the second day after the contest. You know, when you're eating everything. Now off season is when you're starting your cycle. That's the off season.
That's the off-season.
That's the off season here in
Your
Romania now.
off-season starts right when you get back to the gym. So that's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
In Major League, what's the big sport in Romania? Soccer?
Biggest sport? Soccer.
Yeah.
Okay. So the day after the championship, off-season doesn't start until spring training? Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Off-season
I
starts
know.
the day after the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We've changed a little bit the meaning of the term off season.
I feel like Vinny, for your style and the way you explain things and how you handle things, there's a need for this more and more, I think, in the world of bodybuilding and fitness, because people have forgotten a lot of stuff. I feel like today's generation of athletes, most of them are not in touch with what you say, like what used to work or what works. They don't understand.
Let me explain that.
Yeah.
They didn't lose touch. They never were taught, because you have assholes on Instagram who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, teaching people who don't know what they're talking about. And I use vulgar when I say it because I want people to understand I'm passionate about it.
I love it.
You have coaches who just want to sell an idea to make money, and you don't give a shit. They just don't give a shit about someone's health. I run into it all the time. I'm at the place I train. I have a coach that has minimal experience and gives the worst advice and trains his clients horribly. And I'm told, oh, people train with me only when they're ready to be serious. And I might have less clients, but I make more money because I charge a lot more because I can. Don't give out information unless you have the experience. I like true experience. Like the big thing today is about trend, right? You hear everybody talk about, I'm on 500 milligrams of trend. I'm on, and they act like it's a rite of passage. Like they made it into the big time. They're all right, here, let me ask you this. Okay. You understand race car driving, right? Professional race car driving?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if a guy on your block who had a very fast car compare himself to a professional at a professional race car event? Mm-hmm. Like, no, you're an idiot who has a fast car. That's all you have is just a fast car. You're not a professional. You can't give out information. You can't give out tips and you can't teach or educate. And you have the professionals in our sport down here, and you have the people who bullshit, who are good salesmen, they're up here. And that annoys the fuck out of me in our sport. Now we've always had it since I'm a kid.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that wrong information is taught to people who don't know, and there's nothing wrong with them that they don't know. And now that they apply this wrong information, they're not wrong. It's just what they're taught, right? And then it just perpetuates. And then they teach people, and it's so on and so on.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Vinny, if you ever decide to go viral on Instagram, just have somebody follow you with a microphone and a camera in the gym, and between sets, just give out some of these pearls. You just
I should, right?
it would be viral.
My friends
talk just like you did right now.
Yeah, exactly like this.
Just
all right,
like this.
I'm going to start doing that.
No,
Good,
I'm
because
serious. There's a lack. There's a lack of information like this. Yeah.
Because you mentioned Sam Sulek earlier. I don't know how the fuck. I don't know how the fuck that guy got so popular. I don't know. It's a mystery to me.
Well, he got popular because he was extremely consistent with all of his posts. He posted everything. He was in his car posting, his gym posting. Remember, even when he broke up with his girlfriend, he posted.
No.
He said, yeah.
No, I don't follow. I don't follow him.
I don't follow him either. But this is what I heard, that his girlfriend broke up with him, but it was still back day, and he had to go train back.
No, he inspires a lot of people, and the charisma with Sam Sulek is that you can identify with him. He's not above average people. You can feel like he's like exactly like you, but he's more consistent, and he inspires you to be more consistent and more. That's how I feel.
Well, I like what he's done. I do, because he is doing exactly what I would have done if I was his age. I don't find anything wrong. Yeah, exactly. I'd be doing exactly what he's doing it right. Yeah. I'm
I'm not saying that he doesn't do things right or something like that. I just don't like him.
Mm-hmm. Are you jealous?
No.
Jealous of success, envious of success.
Nah, not at all.
Oh wait, no. Before we get going, you have to talk about what was that drink that you gave me that looked like kerosene that I almost died on?
Palinka.
The alcohol.
Tuika. Yeah.
I got drunk just smelling that. I remember the last day we were in Romania.
It's a Romanian tradition. You cannot come here in Romania and not drink Tuika. It's not possible. Well, yeah, I gave you that after the contest.
Yes, but I was all ripped up and dieted down. I took a little sip, like drunk.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny, but you had like your eyes were like fire.
It was fire.
Yeah, but
Christy, did you want to ask something or?
No.
All right, so
go ahead.
So
go ahead.
I have a question about still in the area of training and supplementation. Like back in the day, when you started, and the thing about you, Vinny, I feel like you're this whole history of names and bodybuilders and contests that a lot of people don't know about, and it's really amazing. Like I wanted to ask you, like back when you started competing, did people talk more about training and diet, or more about cycles and strategies of mixing things up? And
steroids were never talked about.
Okay.
So not that they were never talked about. It was talked mostly about what your diet was like for a contest, or what your diet was like for off season, and what kind of training you would be doing.
Okay.
Nobody would act like they were better than you because they're bragging that they're taking more stuff, right? Now hold that thought for a second. You have to remember that 100% of the steroids in the 90s and early 2000s, in the 80s, all pharmaceutical, all came from a company, not underground labs. And a lot of people don't know or understand how the underground labs began. And I can tell you how it began here. So a lot of the companies started to discontinue producing some of the drugs. So back in the day, like today, I'll give you an example, Anavar. Coaches will say Anavar is for a bikini girl. Well, Anavar, Deca and Anavar was my very first cycle that I ever did. And I think I did 20 milligrams a day of the Anavar. And it made me look crazy hard and ripped. Yes, I was dieting. Yes, I was doing cardio, but it was real. 20 milligrams of Cyril, that's the company. And they were like tiny little footballs. They looked like little footballs, little oval shape. And now today, guys are talking about, oh, you have to do 50 milligrams to 80 milligrams of Anavar. Yeah, because you're getting it from an underground lab that is underdosed. So you're not really getting anything out of it if you took 20 milligrams. If anybody today took 20 milligrams, even 30 milligrams of Anavar in 1990, they'd be shocked at the results that they would get from that.
Wow.
And nobody looked at you like you didn't know what you were doing or you were stupid if you did Anavar, Deca. Like I don't think anybody did Tren before, like, I mean, it was one of those, I think Tren was like just another steroid that if you had it available, you had it available. It wasn't like, I got to get Tren. I can't do a contest without Tren. That's what you hear today. I mean, and the doses were so low because it was real. Today, when I was able to see a few things when I was in Romania, and I was in shock that these things were available. I'll be completely honest. I wish I could have taken them all home, right? But I couldn't get them get them through customs. On trans, want to take that chance, but
you said about Anavar, D-ball back in the day
was popular, very popular.
Yeah, yes. One of the most popular D-ball was made here in Cluj-Napoca.
Yep.
The old Naposim, if you heard of it.
Yes, and also.
Which was like 5 milligrams per pill, and if you compare it with the stuff there is right now, which is 10 milligrams per pill, the old one was like much stronger. You had better results with half of the with half.
Yeah, well, I think the 10 milligrams that are available today is actually just 2 milligrams of Dianabol.
Something like that.
Filler.
But those the old ones who were 5 milligrams, I think they were like real 5 milligrams.
Yeah. Well, so I just said a moment ago, like how the underground lab started. It was when a lot of the companies started to discontinue a lot of the steroids, and then Trenbolone was taken off the market, and guys were trying to figure out how can you get Tren from the cattle Trenbolone, the pellets.
Yeah.
And our guys here in New Jersey and New York were taking the pellets and grinding them up into powder. Yeah. And then taking a product called DMSO, it was like an oil-based substance, and trying to rub it and trying to like absorb it into the skin, and that didn't work. And then finally, over a couple of years, people started to figure out how to make the compound in their kitchen sink, right? And order the raw materials. But now today, I think it's so diluted that you're not getting quality product.
Most probably.
Yeah. So that's an unfortunate situation.
It is, and we don't have the means to actually test. I think I saw at one point. I saw at Dave Palumbo's site. He had some tests, like portable
Yeah.
tests for the strength of drugs, but they were
I'll
just like colors. Yeah.
I'll say this. The muscle, the guys that used prescription drugs in the 90s, their muscles look different than the muscle of today. Completely different bodybuilder. Okay?
Yeah.
When I was in Romania and I saw a lot of the guys training in the gym, because you guys have a lot of steroids that are prescription, like from the actual company, I think the look of the muscle is different than the guys here in the United States. It's a harder, more dense look. It's a different look. It reminded me very much of what the guys look like in the 90s. Because you guys...
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm not saying they were bigger. I'm not saying they were...
No.
But I'm talking about the quality of the skin and the detail of the muscle. There's a different look. But you're so used to it, you don't know the difference. If you came here to the United States, you'd see guys and you'd be like, that guy's getting ready for a contest? He looks soft. But if you tell a guy here that he looks soft and he needs to work harder, they get mad at you. They don't want to hear the truth.
Interesting. Because
That's
I'm not
interesting.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's in my mind. It may be the food also, or the.
Oh
the,
yeah, you guys have
nutrition.
food that's quality. You don't have any preservatives like we do. Like we have. I remember when I went food shopping with Christy, right? Where I was looking for meat.
Yeah.
And I was like shocked at how red the steak was. Like it was so red. And I'm like, why does it look like that? Because it's got to be off the shelf in 2 days. Like it made it to the shelf yesterday. It's got to be off in 2 days. I'm like, why? Because there's no preservatives in it.
Yeah.
You get quality.
You even said the chicken tastes different.
Everything tasted different. Everything. I remember by the end of the week when I was going home, I remember having no stomach issues, and my stomach actually got flatter because I think I was digesting my food way better.
Most probably.
Interesting.
So I'm coming with Christy for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So what are your what is your plan for Japan?
My plan for Japan.
Yeah.
So I had a really good off season. I ate really well over this last off season. 4 weeks ago to now.
How much do you weigh?
Okay, so last time for the Olympia, at 16 weeks out, I was 222 pounds, and now I'm 212. So I'm 10 pounds lighter, but I'm better and I'm bigger. So the plan is just to eat better the entire prep, even from off season. I know that my body. So on paper, it says men who are over 40, over 50 can't break down carbohydrates like a younger man can, but I can, and I never was able to do that before when I was younger. But I'm able to eat a lot of food now, and all I have to do is just manipulate my carbohydrates, where I have like maybe 2 to 3 low carb days, 2 to 3 high carb days, and 1 really high carb day, and then I keep rotating that, and that's what gets me in condition. But as long as that peak, like a carb rotation.
Yeah, like 3 low, 3 medium-ish, and 1 high.
Yes. It could be 2 or 3, depending upon my condition. Like right now, it's more like 3 days low because I want to get the body fat to move. And then once I get into better condition, I'll bring that down to 2 days low, 3 medium, a high, and repeat. So it's over a 6-day period. The 7th day, it starts a new cycle.
Yeah. And can you tell us how many carbs on each in low days? How many carbs? Medium? How many carbs? And on high carb? How many carbs?
So on my low carb days, I eat only 100 grams of carbs each day. My medium carb days, I eat 300 grams of carbs each day. And on my high carb day is 500 grams. And then I go back down to 100 for 2 days.
Crazy, because like I hear people like here in Romania, guys who weigh like less than you, who are on almost one kilo of carbs a day, which I think is like crazy.
Well, I think like people need to understand bodybuilding is an individual sport. What drug works for you might not work for me. What food works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. So I think we have a lot of sheep in our industry now. They just follow the herd and they don't think for themselves. They just think like, I have to do what everybody else is doing. And you guys are laughing, right? But it's the truth, right? It's like,
I know.
Can you think for yourself? People today are not thinking for themselves. If there's a guy in the gym that's taking 700 milligrams of Tren and he looks pretty decent, I can guarantee you 2 other guys are going to take 800 milligrams. Like it's just
it's most definitely.
It's silly. Listen, and I don't know if you remember what I had told you, but I use Tren. I love it. I think it's fucking awesome. But I only use 150 milligrams for 6 weeks.
150. Yeah, I know. I remember.
150.
I remember.
That's all you need. I mean, what is going to do the job opposed to what is going to hurt you? Because the long-term use of Tren can hurt you really bad. And it's not a joke. I mean, these guys, I have no respect for the guys who are training in a gym and bragging about steroid use, and they look like shit, and they don't eat good, and they train like crap, and they're on your phone.
we all know people who take a lot of stuff and don't really look like they take a lot of stuff. That's always puzzled me. This issue of taking the enhancements always made me wonder, where is the difference, because you see people bragging, I take this, I take that, and then you look at him and you're like, okay, and something's missing,
this is the first time I'm in recent podcasts, and even more so today, I'm talking about steroids. I normally wouldn't ever do that because I come from an era that we just never did it before. But I see the stupidity in what's going on that I have to talk about it now. And I mean, I could be more blunt and more aggressive about this. I think I would hurt people's feelings. I don't want to go that route, but I just really, in one way, I want my bodybuilding back. I want the way it used to be back. I'm not saying I don't want social media. I just want people to take the fucking sport a little more serious and have respect for what could hurt you. It's a joke to half of these guys. Like it's not a game taking steroids. It's not at all.
Yeah, but
you need to be mature about it.
Kids these days, they don't care. I told some of the guys in the gym, guys, lay off. They're like, no, I'm okay.
I'll be transparent. I mean, Christy will vouch for this because we talked earlier today. Because Christy's one of the few people that I bounce ideas off of because he's a knowledgeable guy. Even though I've accomplished what I've accomplished, I'm still gonna seek out information from people that I think maybe know more than me, or I respect their opinion and I respect Christy's opinion. Here I am 16 weeks out. And most people would think, oh, you're going to ramp it up. You're going to do more drugs, more steroids. And I just finished 8 weeks of some testosterone and some equipoise. Okay. And I messaged Christy and I said, what do you think? 4 weeks, 6 weeks? Oh, no, I said, I'm 16 weeks out. You think 6 weeks of TRT and then go back on at 10? And he gave me his opinion. I thought about it. I thought, okay, his opinion is right. And, you know, because I was talking to somebody in the gym over the weekend, they're like, you're going to ramp it up right now. You're going to like do 1,000 milligrams of test. And I'm like, guys, man, you're insane. You know, so here I am going into the Olympia thinking, first I need to rest my body, pull back a little bit, because if you really know how fast steroids work and you really know and understand what they're doing to you internally, if you really knew that and understood it, you'd be fucking scared to stay on a really long time. And so this is not the healthiest thing to do, right? And here I am, I'm 58 years old. And the reason why I have longevity is because I try to be as smart as possible and safe as possible, and staying off when I can stay off and then going back on. And I don't think many people approach it that way. Like, I could care less in the next 4 weeks if my strength drops. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. Now I'm going to go back on 12 weeks out and everything will be fine again.
Yeah, what you're talking about, Vinny, is this whole attachment to the weights, the numbers. People are attached to how they look, how much weight they can move, and they don't want to lose that. They identify as that person.
Weak individuals. That's really what it boils down to. They're weak-minded people.
Yeah.
And haters for it.
It's true. And let me tell you something. I had a podcast not so long ago with a bodybuilder from here. Like Christy, he's also an IBFF pro. And he told me he had the chance to work with Chris Aceto. And he told me the only thing Chris changed, it was the food. He manipulated the food in such a way that he got some great results, but never really touched the drugs. Like he left the drugs alone. Like he was asking, oh, you take this, okay, that's fine. Don't enhance that, don't add to that. Let me look at the food. And I think a lot of people have they underestimate the importance of the diet and the hard
100%.
But the diet is amazing. What you can do with the diet if you know what you're doing. It's like it sometimes makes me wonder, like, it's like a lost art, you know.
Oh, sure. You know, the other thing too is when I said before, like, we have too many sheeps in this industry now. People follow. One of the biggest things, I think the number one thing besides steroids that is a very misunderstood topic is the week of a contest, which everybody calls peak week.
Peak week, yeah.
Now, if you're in shape, if you're doing everything you should be doing, and 10 days out, you're looking amazing, you're taking in the right amount of sodium, your carbohydrate rotation is perfect, it's working for you, you're drinking over a gallon of water a day, and you look fucking great. But now it becomes Saturday, and people start thinking, okay, peak week is coming. I have to change everything. Why? I don't understand this whole concept of manipulating everything to be 10% better when the reality is they usually look 30% worse. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes 1 out of 20 people will respond in a positive way, and the other 19, 30, 29 people, whatever, it backfires and they all look like shit. I think it's the worst thing that people could do, because people are weak-minded and they think like, oh, I got to get better. Or their coach is bullshitting them saying, I have the secret for you. I learned it from so-and-so, and we're going to manipulate the carbs, and we're going to increase them. We're going to pull out potassium, put in potassium, pull out sodium, put back sodium. And you're just fucking with people because you don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? It's an annoying thing. It's annoying.
Yeah.
You know what we did back in the 90s? It was one simple thing. We started at 12 weeks out. 3 days low carbs, 3 days carbing up into Saturday. And you just did that for 12 weeks. And your body got used to that. And you knew what day you look better on. Some guys look better on the second day of low carbs. Some days look better. Some guys look better on the second day of high carbs. And so once you started getting closer to the contest, you'd start transitioning it to, okay, I only need 2 days of carbs going into a show. And you get your body primed like that. A lot of guys in Jersey did that. A lot of guys didn't, but we kept it simple. It wasn't a science project.
Yeah, well, there's like this, I don't know, a saying I heard: complexity appeals to the stupid.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah,
but like
smart
simple, very simple approach. Like 3 days, 3 days low, 3 days high.
Yeah,
and
really neat.
See with, yeah.
And also too,
simple.
I think what a lot of times people don't understand, there's a transition phase to dieting. You're coming in from off season, and no matter how good or clean you eat, there's that understanding, hey, if I want a slice of pizza, I'm going to have a slice of pizza. Yeah. If I want a cheeseburger, I'm going to have a cheeseburger. Now you have a transition phase.
Yeah.
Cut those things out, and you're going to start dropping body fat just by doing that. And now you're 16 weeks out like I am, and now I start dieting, like really dieting.
Mm-hmm.
You guys look tired. You want to end it a little bit?
Yeah. No. Well, a couple of minutes more if you have the time.
Sure. I have the time. It's only 5:30 p.m. here.
Yes. Like you said, Vinny, it's about, I heard this, it's like landing the plane. You land the plane smoothly. The way you land the plane is the way you get into the competition prep. Not all of a sudden you just like drop everything and you go, like you said, no pizza, no nothing, just clean, you know?
I can't diet like that. You know, if I were to cheat on a diet leading up until yesterday and start dieting, I know that on Thursday I'm going to cheat. So I have to gradually cut the bad food out and then not have that for a while.
Well, you're Italian. Of course you love the food. I mean,
of course.
So you love the pasta and the pizza. And
I had some pasta and a birthday cake yesterday. So
let me ask you something nobody thought about asking you.
Okay.
Because like when I think about you, I never went to New Jersey. I never went to America, and I never visited. But I saw, there was that TV show, the famous TV show, The Sopranos.
Sopranos, yeah.
Yeah, and I always imagine New Jersey looked like that. Like I saw the TV show, and how much of that it was real, especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was pretty much like that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The place where it was filmed is called Bada Bing.
Bada Bing, yeah. The strip club. No way.
Yeah, I live right. That's where I live. I live right up the street from it.
Yeah. Amazing. And is it? Yeah, and is it true that the whole show, like the Anthony, the character, was based on a local guy from there, like from a local family from the area?
I don't know, to be honest.
You don't know. You don't know. Okay. But
Vinny, one question.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you had the chance to ask Vinny Galanti a question, what would that question be?
Oh wow! 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 No one's ever asked me that question before. What would be the question I would ask myself?
Yes.
I think like the first thing that comes to mind would be if I had the opportunity.
No. If you were a fan for example.
Oh, okay.
What would you ask? What would you ask Vinny Galanti?
Shit.
Nice one, huh?
Wow. I can't even think. But going back a second ago, the first thing that popped into my head was, if I was to go back to the younger Vinny, I'd say you did okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
I think I would ask myself, I think if I was a fan, I would say, how do you have the confidence and discipline to know when to change up your training and when to apply new types of training, because you feel like the training you're doing is your security blanket and that you don't want to let that go? What gives you the confidence to do that? Because you know, guys, like, bodybuilders are stubborn. They believe in one thing and they won't change anything, right? When I train with somebody, like what you and I did when I was in Romania, wasn't really how I trained. I was just coasting into the contest. But when I train with people and I do something, I'll give you an example. Today, I did legs.
Okay.
And when I did legs, there was a guy who trains pretty hard, and he was warming up. And I said, "You want to train?" He's like, "I don't know if I can keep up with you." I said, "Come on, let's just do what I do. Do the weights that you could do, and don't worry about anything else." So I was on a leg extension machine, right? And instead of getting 15 reps, I was doing a single leg curl, leg extension. And instead of getting 15 reps, I did 5 with one leg, 5 with another, 5 and 5, 5 and 5. I kept going back and forth. So he did the same thing. And he started to say, "Oh my God, I got a pump like never before." We did 4 sets like that. That was just a warm up. He goes, "I got to start doing that more often." And I said to him, "That's the first time I've ever done that." He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I just thought of it." He goes, "What?" I go, "I just thought of it. It just seemed like a good idea to do because my knees weren't warmed up yet to do 15 reps. So I did 5, then I did 5. Did 5, and I did 5. 5 and 5, and then I got out of the machine." And he's like, "But didn't you want to do, regular conventional set?" I'm like, "All right, we'll do that next." He goes, you could do any, like I said to him, there are no rules. You make up your own rules on how you want to train. The whole concept, if you really think about it, the whole concept of training, whether it's high volume, low volume, you want to feel the muscle working. That's the bottom line. You want to feel your muscles working. And whatever gets you to feel your muscles working, do that. It sounds so simple, but it really is. It's not. There's no science base behind it. It's not bro science. It's just logic that what you do in the gym that day. How many times have you drove to the gym and you're like, "I don't want to do this today," and you have an amazing workout? Or you're going to the gym all revved up and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck shit up today. I'm gonna train hard." And then you ain't got nothing in the tank and you're like, "I want to go home. This sucks today." It happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to adapt and not be brainwashed by what they say you have to do. I don't believe in that shit. I believe in doing what works for you at that moment. I could have a plan and say, right now I'm doing, like I said before, I'm doing like 8 to 10 reps now, 6 to 10 reps. But today, my knees weren't warmed up. I rode the bike for 10 minutes. I stretched for 10 minutes, and I didn't feel like I was getting warmed up yet. So I approached my warm up differently than I normally do. So I have 2 parts of my warm up. I warm up on the bike, stretch a little bit, and then I warm the muscle up. And today, it wasn't happening until maybe like the 4th set. And then I did, I'll actually post up the videos later. You'll see.
It happens to me sometimes also.
What's that?
It happens to me also. The same thing
It happens.
about the knees.
Yeah, it happens to everybody. So today I did 2 sets at my not heaviest, but I did 5 plates on a leg press for I think 30 reps. I'm not sure. And then I went to front squats with a bar across my chest.
Yeah.
And I just did a quarter on each side because it was the first time I was doing it in weeks. And I just aimed for like 12 or 15 reps, really slow. Got a pump in my quads. Could I have put on more weight? Sure. But then my lower back would have been all messed up. Next week, I'll add a little weight. The week after, I add a little weight.
Les, I just as you were speaking, Vinny, I was just thinking that a lot of people are not so in tune with their body. They don't feel their body the way you feel. Like when you speak about it, I can tell all those years, all those sessions you did for the past 40 years, you feel things normal people don't feel, And for normal people, they need a rep scheme. They need a set scheme. They need the plan needs to spell out how the set
that's
is
why
going
I'm
to
saying,
be,
go for the feel.
Yeah. Well, the feel is not there, Most people don't have the feel. And let me tell you something: the phones ruin more the feel than anything else. When you got a phone and you check the phone every 5 minutes, or
it's like
the feel is gone. Yeah, like, and now one set of this.
I tell people all the time. I go, hey, do you know how that phone can get you big? And they're like, how? I said, it can't. Put the fucking thing in your pocket and start working out.
Yeah. And Berchu tells people all the time, put your shoes on because the socks are not going to help you get big.
I don't like people training in socks or flip-flops.
Yeah, they train here in Crocs. You guys have
That's horrible.
No.
That's horrible. I've seen
Crocs
videos.
also. Crocs also.
Yeah, I want to see one of these assholes who don't put the weights back on the right way, take a 45 off, and there's a quarter there, break their foot. I want to see that.
Yeah, I wish I would see that.
Two things, Vinny. Two things we don't see here very often: people in Crocs and people with Stanley cups.
With what?
The Stanley Cup, the huge bottle with the huge. The ladies have it most of the time. You know what I mean.
So we're going on this is the longest podcast I've ever been on.
Yeah. Well, we can call it a day. If I only have one more question for you, and we can call it a day. So I know you train clients also, like especially, I don't know, men and women, or just usually men?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have mostly people over 30 or 40 or younger?
No, both. I have all different ages.
All different ages.
But I'm very selective on who I train now. I don't train anybody who doesn't train hard.
Okay.
Like
very good.
If somebody came to me and said they wanted to give me 10 pay me for 10 sessions, and I've never trained them before, I only take 2 sessions.
Smart.
I say, keep your money, because this might not work out after 2 sessions. People think I'm crazy. Just take the money, but you know what? I don't want that bullshit headache of people. I'm not there to listen to your fucking problems. I'm there to get you in shape. That's the end of the story. End of story. So if you're not serious about training, and you need to go get another trainer. I see so many trainers that they just talk and talk and talk, and the person's doing the form. It's horrible. There's no correcting them.
Amazing. It's the same here. Amazing. Yeah, so, and have you ever had people quit on you because the way you had them train was too hard for them and they just couldn't handle it?
No.
No. Oh,
no.
Okay.
But you see, I will train you hard, but I will train you smart. So if your level is here, I'm not going to train you up here. I'm going to train you right here, and then right here. and then right here. And I bring my clients to this level so that when they're on their own and they're training for a session on their own, they hear Vinny's voice. They know what to do.
Okay. Okay.
I don't train people stupid. I don't train anybody. I don't expect anyone to train on the level that Christy trains or you train or I train. I don't expect that. That would be stupid. It would be an injustice to the person because then they can get hurt.
Okay. Okay. What about the nutrition plan? Do you expect them to follow
I don't do
it?
any of that.
You don't?
I don't do any nutrition because nobody listens, and they complain. You know, I took a page from Charles Glass. You know,
Okay.
Charles
Yeah, I
Glass
know him.
just trains people,
Yeah.
and he doesn't you know, do any nutrition.
Okay.
So that's the road I went down. I just do training, and that's it.
So how do you get results? Because if the nutrition is not dialed in, you won't see any real changes.
We have discussions about nutrition.
Okay.
And if you listen to what I'm saying, it's really, really simple. I give simple advice. And again, I'm training people who are serious.
Okay.
So they're knowledgeable people to begin with. They're
Okay.
educated people. If they don't get it, I explain things, but I don't give an actual program. You know?
Okay.
I give advice, and if you follow the advice, you'll get a result. And most people, that's all they want. They want that, you know, result of a couple of pounds that they lose. They get tighter. They feel good. They look different. They're not looking to look like bodybuilders.
Regular people.
The regular people who want to just change.
Yeah. Okay, so I get it now. So you don't really you kind of give them guidelines, maybe advice.
I give the guidelines. It's because like about 5 years ago, I found myself getting like aggravated that people were saying, a lot of clients were saying they're not getting any they're not progressing. They're not making any changes. And I'm like, are you following the diet? Yeah, I ate everything you said. And then you ask them questions and find out they're eating cheesecake on the weekend, right? They're having beer on a Thursday night with the boys, hanging out at a bar. And then they're complaining that it doesn't work, and you get like stressed out. Like you start scratching your head, like, is my information not good enough? Like, am I wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong? And then I start realizing people, diet is the hardest part. And if you're really, really serious, let me take that back. Because if a client is really serious, I will charge them and I will write them out a program. The second they start to complain about it and say, I can't do this, it's over. We don't do it anymore. Because neither one of us is getting anything good out of it.
Okay. Now I've learned a lot just from these last two paragraphs. You just man, it's really hard.
It's simple. Here in Romania, clients usually expect that you give them a training program, a nutrition, a supplement plan. And sometimes I even think that they expect the trainer to do their shopping, cook their food, wash their clothes, do everything.
You know, when I oftentimes I will get a client from other trainers. They'll come to me. And once they work out with me, they're not going to any other trainer. I know how to train, and I never pull my cell phone out unless I ask them, can I video you and put you on my Instagram? I never behind their back take out my cell phone and look at my phone while they're doing a set. I'm engaged on what they're doing. I really enjoy being a personal trainer. I don't count reps. I don't count sets. I train you. I put you through a workout. If I see your body mechanic is not applying what I want for a certain exercise, I take you off the machine or the exercise and we go do something else. Because why would I keep you on an exercise if you're getting nothing out of it, right? And that's where my experience comes into play. 42 years of experience, and I see trainers who aren't even realizing that exercise they're doing with their client is doing nothing for them, and they don't.
Yeah,
I'm not the best trainer. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. What I'm just saying is I give more passion to what I'm doing, and I pay attention way better than most people do.
Yes. Yeah. It's not that complicated if you really care about what you're doing, you know, like
exactly.
And you have the knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure. All right. So, Vinny, we won't keep you any longer if we already
this time. Let's do this again closer to the Olympia.
Oh, would be amazing. Yeah.
Whoa.
You okay?
Yeah. I just had to put my phone back to charge.
All right. So, Vinny, thanks again for taking the time to talk to us. And
if you want to do this like before the Olympia, it will be a pleasure for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll set it up. Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Depending on when do you want to do it and how you will feel, but if you want to do it, we will definitely.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
I will be in prep, I think, about that time. Yeah, most definitely.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you again.
Maybe we'll talk some more and we'll see. Thank you. Thank you, Vinny.
Okay.